Hello everybody, this is Briefcase bringing you another ESP community game, of course, another North American in-house. I've been casting most of those lately, just can't get around to the EU group that seems to be going on right in the middle of the day for me, so it's a little bit tougher, but nonetheless, wow, some very quick bans coming out right off the bat. On that note, Batrider banned out first, I believe. We have Winner Chicken Dinner, which of course is simply a name that any team can use in these in-houses. Seen it a couple times, doesn't really mean anything, but I will be of course calling them by that. But Batrider and Odebian banned out by Winner Chicken Dinner, of course, not wanting to give up those very strong mids, not to mention just overall incredibly versatile heroes. The Radiant team, however, has banned out Troll, Warlord, as well as Naga Siren, both of them very good at filling a few different roles. Of course, Trolls do not need to be carries. They can be very strong mids. They can also just be very strong in the laning phases, Troll, Warlord. Elder Titan now being picked up by the Radiant in response to that Weaver pickup by Winner Chicken Dinner. Of course, Elder Titan not a very bad mid by any means. His Ancestral Spirit gives him a whole lot of last hitting power. Not to mention he can last hit with the Ancestral Spirit himself and harass with it. It can be very strong for him if he needs it to be. The Radiant team now also does pick up a Visage now, which is everybody's absolutely preferred scary tri-lane hero. He's good in a defensive tri-lane, of course, if they try to go in for those dives. If you're up against an aggressive tri-lane, you have Soul Assumption to fall back on and can usually get at least a 1-for-2 trade. Of course, Visage very scary in aggressive tri-lanes, once again because of Soul Assumption and Grave Chill. He's just the perfect kind of support that everybody loves to play with. Winner Chicken Dinner now picking up a Nyx Assassin, possibly not wanting to give the Radiant team another very strong support. Of course, Nyx Assassin very good, very elusive, of course, as well with that Vendetta. Can set up a lot of ganks, not to mention overall is just a very hard to deal with support. And if you have very squishy supports on the opposition, he will absolutely hunt them all day long. Winner Chicken Dinner now has banned out Darkseer as well as Gyrocopter, just getting rid of some of the best teamfight heroes in the biz. Of course, Darkseer with that huge vacuum, not to mention Gyrocopter's flat cannon and call down, can be such a scary potent duo. The Radiant team now has banned out a couple of tree lovers, of course, Trent, who is a tree himself, and Nature's Prophet, who just loves those trees, making those Trents and all of that, of course. And that's gonna change up exactly who Winner Chicken Dinner has for their early and late game. Of course, Trent so strong at making the late game completely in your favor with living armor. It's so hard to go up against it, and of course, Trent and Weaver is an incredibly scary combo to deal with as well. Not to mention that Nyx Assassin can dive fairly effectively once he hits 6 with that tree armor and get out of there pretty much scot-free. The ban of Furion, of course, will make things a little bit easier for the Radiant as far as control goes. So far, they are not a particularly mobile team, especially not when compared to Winner Chicken Dinner with Weaver, who's so hard to kill, Nyx Assassin, who will be roaming all over the map come 6, and Timbersaw, of course, is very hard to kill just with his Spider-Man timber chains all day long. But the Radiant team now has pinged up an Enchantress of their own. So far, they have quite a bit of a little army coming around. Of course, Enchantress can, I believe it is enchant, her namesake, can enchant a bunch of minions and really make some ganks and some roaming happen as well. Not to mention Visage's familiars will be great for scouting and doing that in a pinch if they need him to. So overall, the Radiant really needs, I suppose, Elder Titan can be run as a mid and most likely will be, I suspect. So they really need to start picking up their carries and maybe semi-carries as well. Enchantress does go in the jungle. Visage is usually a hard support, so they might want an even harder support in somebody like a Crystal Maiden. We've seen that favored a lot. And with this lineup, would be absolutely lovely to have that mana regen, especially for someone like Elder Titan, like Visage, who early on can really throw out some good nukes.
Dire team pick.
They pick up a Clockwork, however, I think a very good pickup as well. They lacked a huge amount of initiation, barring a lucky Elder Titan Echo Stomp, or an Enchantress Slow, or possibly some Visage Familiars slowing down and stunning as well. But overall, no guaranteed initiation, and Clockwork gives them that in spades, of course. That hookshot so scary. Combine that with the cogs. The Radiant team doesn't really have an amazing amount of AoE. Elder Titan's ult, of course, along with Echo Stomp and what have you, will provide a little bit of that, combined with Clockwork, and might be very, very effective if he can throw out a split earth at the same time that Clockwork does indeed hookshot in. So interested to see exactly how they will play this. Might end up really, really well for them. Winner Chicken Dinner now needs to pick up, looks like a mid of their own. Timbersaw, though, that's the thing, is that Weaver can go mid if they need him to. Timbersaw can go mid as well. Not sure how well either of them fares against Elder Titan, who actually has a pretty good time harassing people down. Of course, Weaver always does have a pretty good advantage over pretty much any single melee hero for whatever lane he's going to be in, but more likely than not, Weaver going to be run in that either safe lane or off lane solo, as it just gives him... It is just the perfect lane for Weaver to be in. He is so difficult to kill. You need to give pretty much at least 2 heroes on him, and both of those heroes usually need to have stuns at the very least to even kill a Weaver, and that is so much dedication just to make his life a little bit harder. Winner Chicken Dinner, however, has picked up an Abaddon. He is a very strong support. Could see him run as a carry, however. I absolutely love to see that in a pinch, and without a huge amount of stuns available, they do have some slows on the Radiant team. Echo Stomp is kind of a stun. Visage Familiars can stun. Clockwork is very, very good at disabling as well, but not too many stuns coming from them, and I think that might pose a pretty big problem against this Dire team. Weaver, of course, will be getting away a lot of the time fairly scot-free. Nyx Assassin, without a lot of stuns, can actually carapace out of a lot of initial attacks, and if he has Vendetta available, he'll usually be able to pop away as well. Timbersaw without stuns is pretty much guaranteed to get away as soon as Timberchain is anywhere near level 3. And Abaddon, of course, you combine all of these fairly slippery heroes, all of these heroes that are kind of hard to kill already. You combine that with Abaddon throwing out mist coils, throwing those shields on anybody who actually does get stunned, and you might have a very, very difficult lineup as far as just possibility to kill. Enchantress can set up some pretty nice ganks if need be, but every single one of these heroes on the Dire side has a pretty good chance of getting away when it comes right down to it. The Radiant team has banned out Alchemist, trying to limit exactly who Winner Chicken Dinner can pick up. However, Winner Chicken Dinner banning out Anti-Mage themselves, which I think is very, very good. Winner Chicken Dinner, of course, having a more mobile team at the moment, barring Clockwork's one giant hookshot range, and really making sure that Anti-Mage isn't there to split push and stop Weaver's split push at that, I think is a very, very good ban from them. Of course, nobody likes fighting against Alchemist. He can farm if he has the supports, and right now he very much does. Abaddon can give him all the space in the world to snowball out of control and get 6-slotted pretty much before every other carry imaginable. So still, both teams possibly looking to pick up carries. Abaddon might be filling that role if he needs to. Weaver is pretty much always a sort of semi-carry, 2 position where of a hard carry. Might want to pick up something like a Spectre here, of course. That will give them at least a little bit more mobility, but will have to be fairly conservative in his diving when it comes right down to it, because these heroes on the Dire team can throw out quite a bit of burst if they need to. Abaddon can throw those mist coils out. Timbersaw, of course, the king of burst, not to mention Nyx Assassin as well. So most likely very few places in the map gonna be safe. So just waiting on this pick now, however, and the Radiant team, although they do not have a huge amount of burst, unless you're talking about Visage, they do have some fairly good sustaining team fight when it comes right down to it, and now they have picked up a Lifestealer. I think a very, very good pickup here against Winner Chicken Dinner, of course. That Rage will block so much of their damage, especially early on. Nyx Assassin will be doing nothing. Timbersaw, nothing as well. Abaddon will have a fairly hard time. The only one who will be able to go toe-to-toe with this Lifestealer, at least late in the game, might be this Weaver. And that is a good carry to pick up right now. I would love to see a Juggernaut right now. Oh my word, would I ever like to see a Juggernaut. Hard to say, however, Lifestealer does usually eat Juggernaut up pretty well, and just doesn't even care about that Blade Fury a lot of the time. but probably not going to be a Juggernaut. Pretty much nobody picks them ever, so maybe we'll just see some neat combos. They do only have 20 seconds left, so I won't have to wait too long, but more likely than not, going to be picking up another carry, unless they pick up a support. They might be running Abaddon as a carry. Not sure. That might actually work when it comes right down to it, simply because this Radiant team does not have a bunch of guaranteed skins, but no, they pick up a Tiny, usually is run as a carry, and Tiny as a carry, fairly good time against. Of course, Craggy exterior puts a huge wrench, I should say, in the cogs of Lifestealer, just constantly attacking with that huge amount of attack speed. And these giant thwacking hits, especially if he gets Ags handy, is just what they need to actually burst down Lifestealer. And if Tiny is able to get probably something along like an Assault Cuirass as well as an Ags, this might just be game for the Radiant. So it looks like people are loading up, picking out their characters at the moment. And as far as team fight goes, I haven't really discussed this yet. It looks like Winner Chicken Dinner might have a very good team fight as well. They have a lot of burst early on. It looks like they're probably going to be expanding this early game when it comes right down to it.
Prepare for battle.
And then early smoke by Hebe, they might want to start roaming right off the bat. And with so many, well, I shouldn't say stuns, with the amount of burst they have at their disposal with Mist Coil, as well as Timbersaw's early burst is fairly strong. Tiny as well with Hebe will be very scary if they decide to roam. Could just be absolutely terrifying with that smoke. But into who's actually playing who. You have Hebe now as the Nyx assassin. Valiant is playing as Abaddon. Splendid Daddy as the Timbersaw. EMCD is playing as the Weaver, and Tafla will be playing as Tiny. Looks like Lefty is going to be going mid with this Elder Titan. Final. It is indeed Final. Thought I saw a little bit of blur there. Final looks, of course, doing the old enchant, going mid as you do, setting up for ganks, that sort of thing. You got Penguin going bot along with Christom, who is carrying. I don't think I've seen him carry yet. Phased is indeed going to be going in the off lane. And without wards at his disposal, I hope to see some amazing Rocket Flare camp blocks. Nothing would make me happier than this phase playing that well.
The battle
If I'm not mistaken, Lefty, the best player on the Radiant team. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on him to make some huge plays. Already deciding not to do the Arteezy block. Not sure how I feel about that. He's got to make this block very count. And so far doing an alright job. Of course, I believe Elder Titan is actually the largest character model in the game, so he should have an alright time actually blocking. And who has had the better block? It indeed does look like Lefty has the slightly better block, but an Elder Titan against a Timbersaw, I would probably give that slightly in favor of the Timbersaw. Of course, Astral Spirit will be doing its damage to him, but it most likely won't be enough, especially if Timbersaw decides to get reactive armor. And now we have Valiant picking up a haste rune. They might try to really use this to their advantage, getting at least a little bit of damage onto Penguin. And this Clockwork phased up here. Of course, nobody seems to actually be pulling this camp. Not sure if that's really the best option to do at the moment, seeing as how Clockwork can't really contest that camp too much. Not against these two stunners, of course. And down here, Valiant just running around like a crazy man, trying to see if he can't get a little bit of damage going on. Of course, you have Abaddon coupled with Weaver as a dual lane, of course, making Weaver so good at diving, even better than he already is. And that's got to be scary in and of itself for this Radiant dual lane. Looks like Lefty is having a pretty alright time against this Splenda Daddy. Now Splenda has picked up that that reactive armor. He's going to be getting a bit more regen than Lefty is, but with Lefty having 7 last hits, he's actually winning this lane fairly well. Phased is actually doing great up top as well, throwing out a lot of early rocket flares. That's how he's getting that farm. He's already up to 4 last hits, and of course I missed the first blood. Oh my word. Of course I do, however. It looks like Final did rotate out from the jungle to guarantee that first blood. Got a centaur, in fact. That stomp was used indeed. All speculation, but let's be honest, that's exactly what happened. And I need to start paying attention to this map a little bit more. Looks like Phased is doing all right. Hebe might be rotating down bot. There are no wards available now. It looks like indeed Lefty is going to get this rune. Has picked up a bottle, and now with that and Timbersaw not having a bottle of his own, this could be very, very hard to continue to lane up against this Lefty, especially with the constant Ancestral Spirit harass that is coming down. Christum and Penguin both at fairly nice health. Can't actually believe that it was, I want to say it was, who died? It was indeed Valiant. Wasn't sure about it, but most likely than not, Phase now looks like he is getting some nice experience here and farm from this top. They just aren't pulling this lane. Seems a little bit odd, honestly, when it comes right down to it. Lefty has popped his illusion rune, just using them to harass Splendid Daddy a little bit, probably doing more harm to him than good, simply because of that reactive armor. Those illusions aren't going to do any damage. That's going to give him so much HP regeneration. And now it looks like Tafla just backing off. They are going for this carry. Tiny. He has a Quelling Blade, and Tiny actually has a huge amount of base damage, 73 at level 3. Very, very scary alone. And now it looks like Hebe might want to actually, he's done a single stack pull. Very odd. This does not kill the creep wave in time and actually pushes the creeps all the way back to this tower usually.
Is under attack.
Because this creep wave will now combine with this one, but maybe that's exactly what they want to do, deciding to do that at the 3-minute mark, of course. That gives them the extra catapult creep, which can actually put quite a lot of early damage onto this tower. It now looks like Splendid Daddy and Lefty going tit for tat in the mid, both of them having only one bottle charge left. Elder Titan having a much better time at last hitting, mostly because of that extra Astral Spirit damage, and now he is popping his bottle, popping a flask as well. Healing salve, I should say, and now getting an invisibility rune of his own. Might want to use this to gank, not being that ballsy, however, and Phase just getting all of the experience in the world, and this is exactly what you want to have happen when you are a Clockwork. As far as the lanes go, however, it looks like EMCD is farming. He's farming all right. Christum is, of course, having the better trade in this duel versus duel lane. But with that extra 1 kill that they've got, I wonder who's actually leading in the farm. They do have a sentry down. It's not going to be enough. Penguin wants to get off one of those soul assumptions, but it's not going to be enough at the moment. And if we do look indeed at the net worth, it looks like Christom is above EMCD by quite a bit this early on. But now Lefty, of course, the best player on the Radiant team by far. We need to watch exactly what he's doing all the time. He's doing pretty good in the mid, actually leading in the last hits. He has 0 denies, however, probably just trying to get all the gold he possibly can. Christom is being left alone for a moment and is actually getting very, very close to being in a pretty precarious position. He has his phase, if he can ever make it to the side shop now. And Splendid Daddy has hit 6. He is bottle crowing as well. So difficult. So difficult to actually lane up against a Timbersaw when he has hit level 6. Those Chakrams are just such a good mana efficient spell when it comes to damage. I believe, what is it, 200 damage for 75 mana this early on? Indeed it is. That is absolutely terrifying to go up against. Christom in a fairly low health position, might want to use up that salve, does indeed. Phase though, not getting, I mean, he's always within experience range. He is now using his rockets just to harass. Looks like he's gonna be scouting out. Or is it gonna go past? It is indeed. It looks like they want to set up a gank indeed. They do have this sentry down. But it's not gonna be too useful here with the creep wave being right here. Boom. Oh yes, I can draw as a broadcaster. That's Splendid Daddy popping that illusion rune he picked up. Lefty has to bottle crow here, and indeed it looks like he is. He will be doing that indeed. Does get his phase, however. There's the bottle going on him. Hebe looks like they are finally controlling this creep wave a little bit, but phase is nowhere there. They don't need to control it at the moment.
Top tower is under attack.
Tafla, though, is farming up fairly well, has 30 last hits of his own, and that is very, very good for a Tiny. Interested to see if he's going to be going that Midas, that very late game build. Of course, you want to get as much farm as possible, and a pre-10 Midas on anybody is pretty good when it comes right down to it. So there he has picked up that Midas indeed, and that's going to give him that extra little bit of attack speed once he finally does get his ult to make him all that more dangerous. And now it looks like Elder Titan and FaZe picking up a kill on Splendid Daddy. Timber Chain not gonna save you when you have battery assault going, and it looks like they didn't even need an Echo Stomp at the moment. Of course, with Natural Order, that's gonna make all the damage they're doing just that much scarier. And so sorry, I think I've missed pretty much every kill, and that is none too good for me, I have to admit. Christom getting very, very low. Looks like he is getting harassed down. Of course, Valiant Shield along with EMCD's Shikuchi diving ability can be very, very scary. And now looks like FaZe is trying to hunt out Hebe at least a little bit. And what Harpy, this Stormcrafter, the Harpy Stormcrafter, of course, very good at just harassing people down with that very annoying Chain Lightning. It's a free, what is it, 140 damage, and can pretty much spam it all day long. Splendid Daddy getting very, very low, has to be scared of these Astral Spirits coming at him. And now Tafla has hit level 8 now, does have his ult, has Grow, opting not to actually go for that Avalanche and Toss build where you get just 4 in each, and then you have a huge amount of burst early on, and then you get levels 9 and 11, or no wait, I should say 10 and 11 as Grow. Opting not to do that, just wants to get this good amount of last hit potential, of course, with this huge amount of base damage now. That, of course, that will make him very, very good at last hitting and denying if he needs to be. And now it looks indeed like they want to get a kill on FaZe. Probably not going to happen, though. He has full mana, full HP, has Cogs. Hebe has gone top now to guarantee that Tafla does not die himself. But Lefty is here with this Astral Spirit. He's going to be throwing out those Astral Spirits now, and they want to get this kill on Tafla. He's going to try and get him in the Cogs. It looks like he is indeed going to get it. Where's that Astral Spirit? It's going to do its damage, and he does have double damage with Astral Spirit. 146 plus 1 shots. This Tiny smacks him in the head, blows him right up, and now Lefty, of course, we gotta watch him all game. He's been doing great. He's farming great. He's getting those solo kills. He's doing amazingly. Looks like Splendid Daddy is trying to Timber Chain away. One more impetus would get him, but no, he throws a Chakram. It does not quite get him, but of course a little bit of lovely micro by Final right there with that Shockwave Satyr? How do you guys say it? I say Satyr. And now looks like a little bit of a misclick with that Shallow Grave. You usually don't want to go for those ranged creeps, but nonetheless, not sure if it would have ended with anybody's blood. Do they have detection? They do have a sentry available to go on this Weaver if they need to, but of course time-lapse is here. They don't have any way to actually stun him at the moment. No level 6 Visage trying to guarantee those kills yet. So overall, probably just in vain, just spending a little bit of mana. Maybe they don't even need to. Doesn't really matter, however. He's almost back up to full already. And now it looks like Lefty has got a bottle rune, or I should say an invisibility rune in his bottle. Interested to see if he's going to use it to gank anybody at any time. Of course, it now looks like Splendid Daddy is running mid, of course, but FaZe is here just waiting in the wings. Hebe as well. It looks like they're both trying to set up a gank. Gets the hook, gets the Cogs. Oh, Cog's not actually proccing as soon as he Timber Chains out. Hebe is here as well. They are throwing out some Dark Troll Summoner ensnares. It's not going to be enough. Lefty is trying to get those kills. He does indeed get it. Not sure. He does bottle. He doesn't have another charge, and a Chakram throw will finish the deal. Oh, looks like Christom getting dived by EMCD. Oh, there's that guaranteed kill with those familiars. Like I mentioned earlier, it looks like he did already use time-lapse, so he could not throw that out in the last seconds. And now a very nice kill by Penguin. While that's all happening going on though, Tafla is up top. He's getting those tower kills. He's getting that farm that he wants. If we look at the net worth, he is indeed second in net worth. Splendid Daddy is mid, trying to get as much damage on this tower as well. Looks like now he has picked up a chainmail, possibly going for, I believe chainmail only goes into a couple of things. Medallion, Assault, which of course he will not be going as a Timber Saw, but can be going, I want to say, Blade Mail. Because why wouldn't you? Could be going, yeah, could be going Medallion. Seems like a little bit of an odd pickup, especially in this lineup, but hard to say. Oh yeah, of course, it goes into mech. What am I doing? God. Should have just clicked on the shot, but now it looks like Timbersaw, indeed Clockwork has found a Hebe. Hebe just cannot cast anything, and FaZe now getting a nice solo kill, has double damage. Splendid Daddy has to be careful here. He is going to get Familiar Drop, gets cogged again, and there's that double damage coming into play. He has no mana to get away, gets a Timber Chain in the last second. It is not enough. And like I was saying, I probably should go into the shop. I can't click it in his inventory set. I can click it here, and there it is. Of course, it does indeed go into Buckler. Probably going to be making a mechanism if he ever gets the farm for it. And at the moment, it does not seem like he is. Elder Titan just looks like he's going to be going back mid, trying to get a little bit of this. A little bit of a gank going now on Christum, opting not to actually use Rage as soon as he possibly could, and that will mean his death. Did not have a TP available to get out of there if he needed to anyways, but if he had popped Rage as soon as he got Vendetted, he might have actually been able to live. Combined with his Enchantress having that enchant slow, not to mention some nice Nature's Attendants, he might have been able to actually get out of there scot-free. But now it does indeed look like FaZe going for another solo kill, but there are too many of the Dire team here. He does pop his magic stick, however, and now I don't think that either of the team knows if they want to continue fighting. Valiant's ult has been used, Impetus now being thrown out. Splendid Daddy might just be able to get away. These Familiars, though, not being used too effectively, but he does not get out of the way. Of course, Visage just there in time to throw out that nice soul assumption. Looks like Final might be in a little bit of trouble, does not have the mana at the moment to pick up and throw out that Nature's Attendants. Lefty is here, however. He does have Split Earth. I've been seeing this in the ESP community. You're actually getting the second point in Split Earth, and I'm not sure why. All it does is up that slow duration, and it's not, I mean, it's okay, but I personally, I love that sleepy Echo Stomp. Now looks like Hebe is going to be picking up an invisibility rune with his bottle, does throw out that bottle charge as well, and they know he's there. Everybody's saying, you got to be careful. Christom, you got to be careful here as well. He isn't vendetted, but he is here. EMCD with the shield on will be enough. Looks like Hebe maybe whiffs it, waiting for that. Does indeed, gets a stun on a Centaur and a Christom. Christom needs to be running. He infests into the Centaur. He's going to explode it sometime, and he's doing fine, just fine. Shackman's being thrown around. FaZe being just man-fighting everybody in these cogs. Splendid Daddy can't quite get away, of course. That Assault Battery interrupting that Timber Chain now, and it looks like Hebe has popped from Daddy. He's trying to get that kill on FaZe, can't quite do it. There's just too many heroes here. And of course, one very nice thing about Nyx Assassin is if you do see an Astral Spirit coming your way, you can throw out that spiked carapace. And indeed, Bronze is correct. That's the first blood patch. Timber Chain does not go through stuns anymore, and making Clockwork all that much better against him. FaZe throwing out a little bit of annoying rocket spam on Hebe, of course. He's trying to make his life a little bit harder. We do have Tiny, however, with 87 last hits. He's doing great. He's still only second place as far as net worth is concerned. And if we look at the graphs for the first time this whole game, we'll see that indeed the Radiant team is leading in both experience and gold, of course, more so in experience. The gold will be supplemented quite a bit by Tafla, who is getting this, of course, Hand of Midasing all day long. He has hit level 2 of Grow. He's hitting for 200 damage now, even more against creeps, substantially more, 260 against creeps with that Quelling Blade. And now it looks like Hebe and Valiant might want to be starting to set up some sort of gank. Maybe Hebe's looking to pick up a nice Aphotic Shield to run in. That does not seem to be the case. He has popped his Vendetta. He's not level 11 yet, so it's only a level 1, and it looks indeed like Final realizing something, feeling a little bit wrong about this. Phased, did you just... You did indeed. FaZe looks like he was hookshotting in, couldn't land it on anybody he really wanted to. EMCD now has picked up an Ogre Club of his own, of course. Usually you see this, gonna be going a BKB on the Weaver, just so that he can survive early on a little bit more. And now Tiny has indeed eclipsed this Elder Titan in the farm category, with Lefty sitting back doing nothing, and Tiny trying to find every bit of gold he possibly can. There is an engagement going on. FaZe does indeed get there. He has popped his power cogs. EMCD though does time lapse away. Valiant's ult has been popped. Timberchain, no stun to stop you this time. Christum, so low, is actually woefully underfarmed. FaZe maybe overextending. Tafla does pop in, throw an EMCD. That's gonna be doing quite a bit. These Wisps doing so much though to help Christum. He needs to pop that rage so he can even survive. Now Tafla throwing everything he's got at Lefty, every creep imaginable. EMCD wants this kill, however. Grave Chill will be able to guarantee that kill. Can't quite get away. Hebe now with Vendetta. He's trying to find some low healthers. Can't really do it. Opts to just use it on one of those familiars. Christom overextending, of course, does fall as well. Valiant so close. Looks like he was at 5 HP. Barely gets out. Tafla as well. Hebe, you want to stun this. You want to body block this. Can't quite get away. Aphotics Tafla, you always want to shield up that carry of yours. And these two incredibly low health heroes. Sub 10 for Valiant. I want to say at least sub 50 for Tiny. Both of them getting away. No? And of course, it looks like indeed Clockwork not throwing out those rockets, not trying to get those last hits might have actually been a good idea. Might have tried to get that pick off, but with that good team engagement for the Dire side, I think. Kind of even, oddly even and weird. It now does look like the Radiant team getting quite a bit of damage on that bottom tower. TB has to be careful here. FaZe has been just man-fighting every single person he sees, and with those cogs as well as battery assault, Hebe has to be so careful here. Tafla is finding the farm that he wants, however, and he's now got arcane boots, realizing that, of course, the late game is very far away for him. You can have all the power treads you want as Tiny. You obviously do want those eventually, maybe if you are carrying that hard, but early game, you do want to be having those arcane boots. It just lets you spam all your abilities pretty much all day long. And now EMCD actually fairly underfarmed as well. He's only at 4,000. You usually want a little bit more on your Weaver when it comes right down to it, but you don't have to be too worried, because this Lifestealer, oh, I can't double click the portrait up here and I guess I can. This Lifestealer is actually pretty underfarmed as well. He has picked up his armlet now, it seems. Looks like Tafla as well as Hebe setting up a nice gank on FaZe there, using a little bit of the double damage Vendetta, coupled with, of course, Tiny's just amazing burst at the beginning with Avalanche as well as Toss. Lefty wants to go in here badly. He does have his drum now, of course. He has picked up a vitality booster as well as a staff of wizardry, and if I'm not mistaken, those are two things that go into a rod of Atos. So don't tell me it's gonna be rod of Atos. Is it? Dagon, come on, rod of Atos. Oh, I'm right. Oh, look at that. I got that going on. Looks like Lefty does indeed give up on the bottom, realizing that there's pretty much nothing you can do against an Abaddon and Weaver combo, especially if you don't have any stuns available. And you pretty much need two with good use of that Aphotic Shield. Now looks like Splendid Eddie has picked up a regen rune. He's actually gone Robe of the Magi. Is it gonna... Oh, two smokes used. Double smoke, of course. That's what you want in Meat. Not so much in Dota 2, however. But they are going to be going for a little bit of a gank now. And let's see. What goes into a Blade Mail? Does it happen to be a Chainmail and a Robe of the Magi bronze? I think it is. That's right. Maybe it's not a mechanism. But now, finding no one in the Radiant jungle seems like it's going to be a wasted smoke at the moment. They might just be looking for this Enchantress, but they can't seem to find her, realizing possibly their mistake. Running away now, and overall, a couple of wasted smokes, in fact. It now looks like Hebe's still trying to find out somebody. If they had just been maybe a little bit more ballsy, a little bit more going over this direction, and really tried to look for that gank even more. Bronze not really liking that decision. It looks like both teams leaving one hero in the respective case. Not in the case actually of Enchantress. He is rotating top as well. And both teams trying to get those tier 1 hard lane towers. It's like Christom are going for Tafla. Valiant has ported top though to give him that aphotic shield to really get away all those debuffs. And now Astral Spirit, you gotta send that. Actually just calling it back. Might have been able to actually set up a gank if he had tried to go for that Echo Stomp. At the very least could have made him spread. And that is a pure trade. 1 tower for 1, but all 5 of the Radiant heroes are here. Does the Dire team have ports? Doesn't look like Nyx Assassin has it. You have EMCD as well as Splendid Daddy in the mid trying to get that, and now it looks like indeed this Radiant team are going for this second tower. I believe indeed Fortification was used for that first. A very nice Echo Stomp, no follow-up however. Familiar is just stunning a bit. FaZe does not have Hookshot available. Christom needs to pop that Rage when he gets into these dire situations.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Dire situations? Oh, I'm so happy with myself, guys.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Tafla just waiting in the wings. He wants to throw one of his buddies in. You know he does. Oh, that's right, Bronze. All the puns all day long. Looks like Hebe wants to set up a little bit of engagement, of course, with Tafla here. Decides to use that Vendetta just to kill one of these familiars. And now FaZe running in. Maybe a little bit too much of an overextension. And all the entire Dire team here really guaranteeing a lot of damage to FaZe. But look how slow Hebe is. That Rod of Atos slows for so much. 60%. So ridiculous. Splenda getting a full 408 damage soul assumption to his back, and of course that reactive armor is not going to be doing too much for him. Now Lefty is actually fairly tanky at this moment. There isn't too much damage coming out immediately from Winner Winner Chicken Dinner when it comes right down to it. And Christom, despite having not a huge amount of farm, is doing a-okay. Lefty now has indeed taken back his top spot as the most farm player in the game. He's loving his life at the moment. Is level 15, almost level 16. Can throw out some very nice Echo Stomps. Splendid Daddy's so close to dying. Throw out an Echo Stomp, my man. Maybe try and sleep. Somebody throw out a very far away Earth Splitter. It's on cooldown. My bad. Earth Splitter cooldown is actually fairly large. And rightly so. It is just amazing at really making people scatter, making people run away. Christom still fairly underfarmed for being a 24-minute lifestealer. There is a haste rune here if he wants it, of course. More likely than not, gonna give it to Lefty. He is the powerhouse at the moment here, and that's not usually what you want to see. And it looks like you just have FaZe throwing out some annoying rockets whenever he can, keeping the middle lane pushed in as best he can, and now he is indeed gonna pick up this easy and completely free bottom tower.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Tafla wants to be farming. He has picked up an Ags now. He's going to be wanting that Assault Cuirass as soon as possible. And once that does indeed happen, things might open up at least a little bit more for him. He doesn't have to be too worried about stuns when it comes right down to it. Of course, you have pretty much Clockwork and Familiars and maybe an Echo Stomp, but overall, he does not have to be so scared about stuns really interrupting everything. And so BKB, not a huge pickup for the Dire team in this game.
Dire's bottom tower.
He's trying to find somebody. FaZe is here. It looks like Hebe will be blocking EMCD with his body whenever he can. And it looks like FaZe deciding, you know what, we don't need to do this. We have Tafla running up top, trying to get, oh, is this going to be a free courier? No, indeed, it does not seem like it. Christom just can't quite get it. He's going too fast. The crab is too speedy for Christom. Can't quite find him. And it looks like indeed that courier is gonna make it home completely safe. Splendid Daddy gets slowed so much. There it is, slowed so much by that Rod of Atos. And actually the cooldown on that is so low, 16 seconds. That's obscene. That is so good. FaZe now getting a nice hook in. Was not actually able to cogs Hebe there, however. And Tafla Fortin doing a huge amount of damage. He does so much, 222, 221 at the moment. But all of that burst going right onto him. FaZe cannot quite get away. Final is here. He wants to make some space between him and Splendid Daddy. And now all they need is a little bit of damage. Splendid Daddy will fall indeed as well. Lefty did not die. Has Lefty died yet this game? I'm not. He's died once. He's still doing very well for himself. Still leading in the farm charts. Tafla can't quite get to him. And of course, getting that nice damage boost from that Astral Spirit. EMCD really wants to dive in on this, but without having that BKB, he's very susceptible to not only Echo Stomp, and will these familiars be able to clean it up? They're doing solo damage, an easy deny by Weaver, however, and that is not what you want to see happen as the Radiant team. Weaver, he needs to get a little bit more farmed. He wants that BKB up so he can actually really contribute in team fights beyond the occasional Sakuchi, and Soul Assumption is just absolutely wrecking this Weaver. Still only level 11, only with pretty much 1100 HP to his name, along with that Ogre Club, and that's not even that much. I mean, a couple of Soul Assumptions and you're already pretty much dead when it comes right down to it. So now, looks like indeed we have Final picking up this Aghanims, of course, increasing the range of Impetus, increasing that attack range. What does it go up to? 740 now, making Impetus so scary. And this is one thing that Enchantress is very good at, finding little bits of farm, setting up ganks and all that. But she is a hero that doesn't need too much farm to actually dole out a huge amount of damage with Impetus. And that is so strong, especially right now, especially against people like Timbersaw. He Timber Chains away, you get a whole lot of damage just from that. And I'm not sure, but does Impetus actually, can it be disjointed? I'm sure it can with invisibility. But I might have seen some like I just seen some replays where somebody actually teleports away and it just follows them the entire way. Or maybe I'm thinking of like a Coddle retreat type thing, or a Chen back in action type of thing. Christom now looks like he is gonna get caught out. They opting not to use that Vendetta kill. Christo does get a rage away. It's not gonna be enough phase though. Teleporting gets 2 now with this. And he does indeed stun himself. It's not going to be enough. It looks like they do indeed pick up a Nyx kill. Christom does fall as well, however. And Splendid Daddy now running for his life. Lefty is here, but Rod of Ato slowing for so much. And now he's finally going to get away. He does indeed make it back with his life. Final is here now. Valiant might get caught out a little bit. Of course, he does have his ult to fall back on, so I still think he might be pretty well safe. And a few impetuses just making sure he's back up to full health. But those impetuses doing so much, he didn't quite get out of the way in time. What happened? Did he get stalled? No, he indeed did get Centaur stomped. But Tafla running in, trying to clean up their mess. And does indeed get a nice kill against this Enchantress. EMCD, though, was farming top. It looks like he does indeed have his BKB coming to him. Has picked it up. Yes, indeedy. And now that will make him at least a little bit stronger in these team fights. Tafla, though, has picked up his Hyperstone. He is hitting for almost... He's hitting like a truck. He's hitting like a giant with a tree is how he's hitting. 8.5 second attack time. Oh my word. Thank you, your mother, for that statistic. I'm not sure how we can actually do those statistics in-game. I'm not sure how we do that, but we should definitely figure out how to do that. And for all you spectators and extra broadcaster spots, wouldn't you love that too if you had the option to do that? So we should figure out how to do that. But now it looks like, indeed, Tiny just farming his little heart out. He is damn close to getting this Assault Cuirass. Not sure how much more money he needs exactly. EMCD popping a BKB for no reason. Oh, it's a shame you can't hear me. Well, I'll start looking into that, and we'll see exactly if we can't make something like that happen at the very least. For you, Bronze, for you, Gwenzuna, who are indeed listening. EMCD now has to be very careful here. He popped his Black King bar for absolute... Yeah, I mean a stats man, yeah, with like the little like sidebars that kind of pop up right around here. Yeah, let's get into that for anybody who would want to do that. Looks like Tiny has indeed gotten... He is now leading the farm charts, of course, with that huge amount of AoE from that ultimate with Ags. That's going to be giving him all the farm in the world he would ever need. And now FaZe runs in. He has double damage. Maybe not realizing all of these heroes are here, but isn't actually falling. They definitely could have gotten a nice kill on him, however. He does indeed get away, and just bottling all day long. Has popped a haste as well, probably feeling invincible having that haste rune in his bottle, but a lot of burst was coming from the Dire team now, and now the Dire team realizing that pretty much the entirety of the Radiant team is revolving down there. They need to get back into their own base and just hurdle up and be a little bit more of a protective ball. And now Tafla has picked up a Yasha indeed, and now it looks like
Radiant's
indeed
top
is not going to
tower
be
is
going
under
for the
attack.
Assault Cuirass right out, might be going for that Manta, and of course tiny Manta illusions do an obscene amount of damage. If left uncontested, can actually solo kill supports. Not to mention, he is indeed going to be doing a huge amount of damage to this tower, and can the Radiant team break the high ground is exactly what we need to say right now.
Radiant's top
Tiny
tower
gets that
has
easy
fallen.
tower kill top, and the Radiant team might need to go back. Tiny is indeed, I mean, he could steamroll this, little bit of indecision, can't decide exactly what they want to do. Of course, Elder Titan is very, very good at breaking the high ground. You just zone people out with that Astral Spirit. If they stay in there, you get an Echo Stomp off into a huge combo, and now Tiny just can't decide it, of course. It looks like the Dire team does not
Radiant's
have,
top tower is under attack.
where is it? Does not have too much vision of the actual Radiant team right now, so they must be very, very worried. More likely than not, that is why you have this Tiny with a little bit of indecision, a little bit of a whiffed hook shot there. Probably, I don't even know if they would have been able to kill him when it comes right down to it. More likely than not, however, they could have. I assume Battery Assault might be quick enough to actually disrupt every single one of Tiny's attacks. And now this Dire team, realizing that some of the Radiants have ported back, they are indeed coming out of their shell, just poking around a little bit, seeing if they can't find anybody. Penguin does pick up this invisibility, guaranteeing that nobody from the Dire team indeed gets it. And Tafla was indeed just farming the Ancients on the Radiant team as well, just making sure that they don't get their farm, and that he indeed does. And now he has skyrocketed forward. He is not so obscenely far that he's uncatchable, but he is getting quite scary. And now what has he picked up? Has it been a straight? No, he has gone for that Assault Cuirass. Has indeed not got the Manta yet instead. And now this Tiny is going to be absolutely terrifying to man fight up against. And with not a lot of stuns on this Radiant side, they need to be very, very scared of this Tiny. Throwing out some nice bugs, only one latching on to Lefty, but that's exactly what they need. They just need a simple, we know you're there, and that's exactly where you were. Throwing out a Chakram as well. It looks like Lefty might have wanted to come down, get a little bit of damage on Valiant, maybe harass him out a little bit. And now in this little bit of a high-stakes Roshan, looks like a little bit of a high-stakes Roshan fight. Your mother indeed. Looks like Lifesteal has picked up a Hyperstone of his own. Looks like he's going to be going Mjolnir here. But I mean, having two Mithril Hammers is indeed a Desolator, generally speaking, so maybe you just getting a casual Hyperstone, of course, not the worst item you can get casually by any means. And now, every once in a while, you have Nyx throwing out those bugs, just scouting around. And FaZe does indeed have Lifesteal, and they're looking to get an Infest Bomb off on this Dire team. And FaZe really wants to get somebody. He is going to be seeing Splenda Daddy. Is he going to get it? He lands the hook. Splenda is here. There's the Infest. It's getting out. Splenda does just Timber Chain away, however, and now those cogs have become Chris Dom's prison. But they are enough to actually push EMCD away. You have Lefty going all over Hebe. Hebe cannot get away. But while this is all happening, this is a simple team fight. You have Tafla just destroying this top Rax. And is anybody going to port back? Who has TPs? Not many of them, in fact. Nobody has TPs, and that's going to be a completely and utterly uncontested Rax for this Tiny. He is just man fighting this entire team down. And now only Visage is here, and he just pops away. Of course, him using his own TB, always carry a TP, guys, just gets out of there completely scot-free, is that much closer now to getting that Manta, which will make Tiny all that much stronger at sieging down towers. Now looks like Lefty really wants to go and get this Roshan. Tafla has to be very, very careful here. He knows they're there. He's playing with fire. He wants to farm these Ancients and maybe run in there, throw out some nice stuns, throw out a nice toss. And now if the rest of his friends can actually get here in time, they might be able to actually do something. Now, some bugs here. The Radiant team has to realize that, of course, Tafla has a huge amount of AoE at his disposal. He does fall kind of low. He is getting impetus down quite quickly, though. The rest of his team is not here. Aphotic Shield, though, in the last second, Tafla will indeed fall. EMCD just doing a little bit of damage. So far, it is a 3-for-1 final. Can you get away? No wisps available at the moment. They do get a stun. Final will fall as well. The slowest attacks in the world because of Untouchable. Can't just barely getting that last hit on him, and that is what makes Enchantress so annoying to go up against. And now it looks like the Dire team are going to want to go for this Roshan. Interested to see if we can get an Aegis snipe by these familiars, and maybe even a Roche kill. A little bit safer to go for that Aegis snipe, but with everybody having so much space in their inventory available, they're going to be fine, just fine, picking it up as soon as they possibly can. So they know that those bugs are there. I shouldn't say bugs. They know those friggin' gargoyles are there. He's going to be there. Does he get it? He does not indeed get the snipe. Weaver gets that Aegis, making Weaver essentially have 3 lives. And the top tower, the top lane's actually just getting pushed in. It looks like Visage doesn't even give a damn, realizing maybe that he might want to take out those creeps before they take all of these money buildings. And that is now going to put things at least there, I was going to say, about even for this Dire team. And it does indeed. Picking up that Roshan, coming out way ahead in that Roche team fight as well. Not to mention having this single lane of racks down. This Dire team is really coming into their own in the late game. And I think we can mostly attribute that to the fact that Tiny, this Tafla, has twice as much farm as the Lifestealer. And that is not at all what you want to see. Of course, Lifestealer very not particularly good against a Tiny when it comes right down to it. Craggy exterior can really ruin your day pretty much all day long. But now Lifestealer looks like he has got 2 mithrils. He's got a Hyperstone of his own. If I'm not mistaken, that does indeed look like, I mean, it should be a Maelstrom, but you don't need another one to make a Mjolnir, I don't think. No, indeed. So, kind of an odd pickup. Not sure why he has that second Mithril. Might want to go BKB with it if that's really what he's going for. But nonetheless, interesting. It now looks like the entire Dire team want to push this bottom lane, of course. A very good idea, very solid, of course. If you do have this top lane done, you have the top lane dead, you want to go for this bottom lane, as if you do happen to get this Rax here, then you do indeed. The Radiant team will have a farther distance to actually travel when it comes right down to it. He be getting impetus to hell, completely caught out now. And now it looks like Tafla has finished his Manta. He's just man-fighting 3 of these heroes. Tafla doing so much, getting familiar stunned all day long, however. And it does not look like the Dire team are going to be able to finish them off. EMCD, though, is getting quite a bit of damage on FaZe. He's barely running. It does not look like he's going to be able to get away. EMCD, where's that Geminate attack? Guaranteeing it. Indeed, believing it is going to work. Tiny just destroying those familiars, getting a little bit of extra gold, and now things swinging even more in favor for the Dire team. And with that, that's probably going to be a guaranteed at least tier 2. Like I was saying, if you do have one lane of racks down, you have one of the side lanes of racks down, or the top or bottom if you want to say, if you want to go that route, then the better lane of racks to actually take is indeed pretty much the opposite lane. If you have the mid lane, doesn't really matter, take whatever you want. But the farther you can make it for these heroes to actually travel, to actually defend both lanes, all the better.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Now it looks like Radiant, realizing that the tier 2 is a complete and utter lost cause, they actually are pushed in fairly heavily by these super creeps on the top tower now. And wonder to see if the Dire team is actually going to push this. No, they instead just go back. They want to have as much split push potential as possible. And now it looks like Christom has picked up a Desolator for himself and will most likely be turning that Hyperstone into an Assault Cuirass, at least to counter Tiny's. Now Tiny with 3,000 gold, he should have buyback status. Even if things go sour, he does indeed. Not many people actually having it. Only Timbersaw, Elder Titan, as well as Tiny have it at the moment. So can make some pretty scary man fights at the moment as well. Let's see, interested to see exactly what Tiny's gonna build into next. He does have some pretty lame boots at the moment. Might want to replace those with travels. Pick up and then get rid of this TP scroll. That will give him, of course, another completely free slot and might be a very efficient use of his item slots. Not to mention give him the added mobility that Tiny really loves. Now a little bit of a lull. Looks like they just want to siege this tier 2, and of course they can do that pretty much all day long with just tiny illusions. That's all they really need to do. They have brought out the Shiva now from Lefty. He doesn't have a very good follow-up from it. Now a hook going on to Tapla. There is a lot going on. A big Echo Stomp. It was only actually hit Tapla, oddly enough. EMCD, they're trying to man-fight with Chris Stomp. It isn't enough, however. A lot of things going on. Tiny does indeed fall immediately. Splitter doing so much damage. A huge amount of focus. Impetus was most likely used there, killing every which way. EMCD, are you going to be able to barely get away? Is that going to be an Aegis pop? It does indeed. Hebe is here with Vendetta. He's trying to find somebody. FaZe getting an immediate cogs out and silencing EMCD. That's going to be a nice fall. Looks like Final, the carry Enchantress, doing his very best to pile on the damage with Impetus as well as Orchid. And now a complete and utter team wipe on the Dire side, and the Radiant team is really gonna have to make use of this. Tiny, of course, can buy back if he needs to, but this might just be a mid-rax for this Radiant team. And now there's that little bit of an upswing, very back and forth in this game for the last little bit. And it looks like they have transitioned into carry Enchantress, realizing that that pure damage is exactly what they need to deal with Tiny at this moment. He does not have BKB. I don't actually think that Impetus can be used on BKB targets even, and that might want to be his next item choice when it comes right down to it. That'll really alleviate pretty much all the damage that this Radiant team can give to him. Of course, Lefty, with hitting everybody with that Astral Spirit, can really pile on the hurt as well. But maybe, will this even be a Rax? They still have that fortification. They just used it, of course, and now enough heroes are indeed back to make sure that that does not happen. They just hit FaZe with that stun, and now FaZe is not going anywhere. He is going to fall indeed. He should not have buyback status. He doesn't indeed, and now it looks like this Dire team, realizing that with no initiation from Clockwork, this Radiant team will have a very difficult time dealing with them. Roshan, of course, still has about 4 minutes to go. 1, 2, 3, about 3 minutes to go until he has respawned, so they will have to wait for that if that seems to be what they're actually waiting for. Now Tapla just farming up even more. Has picked up a BKB, just like I mentioned, of course, that will completely and utterly shut down this Enchantress with her Aghanim's Orchid, which can be so scary as an Enchantress. Tristam, though, of course, with Desolator, will be doing fairly good. Has picked up a Javelin as well. Looks like he might be going for that MKB. Not sure if Javelin doesn't go into much. Oh, of course, yeah, no, never mind. Going into that Basher, of course. My brain got a little confused there. Thought back to the old Dota days when Javelin didn't quite exist, and it was a Mithril Hammer into Basher as well. Now Familiar's just scouting around, and now it looks like a little bit of lull in the game. Hebe just trying to be a little bit annoying. Of course, that is only level 14, so of course needs to be a bit scared. Needs to be a little. Oh, excuse me, everybody. Oh, tongue getting a bit too big in my mouth. Needs to be a little bit more conservative with those Vendettas, of course. Before level 16, before level 3 in Vendetta, the cooldown is not the exact same as its duration. Whilst when you do hit level 16, you can basically be invisible the entire time until you actually hit somebody. But now it does indeed look like there is about 25 seconds of where you are visible. That's not what you want to have happen when you are a Nyx. But he is back in his side of the court. He's going to be fine, just fine. And now it looks like both teams simply waiting out for this Roshan. He is 2 minutes away. Both teams scouting in, throwing in that Hellbear Smasher, that giant tomato. With Valiant Splendid Daddy here as well, just trying to make sure they have a straight line of vision to this Roche, and everybody already converging, despite the fact that there's a minute and 30 left before he actually respawns. And now Tiny still not getting rid of these arcane boots. He loves that mana, loves that extra bit of mana pool that he wants. But he has picked up that BKB, and I think more likely than not, that's going to be the biggest difference in this next fight, is he will not be burst down by these constant giant enchantment impetus attacks. And he should be doing fine, just fine. And now Roshan will be respawning in 1 minute. Familiar, just scouting around, seeing who's around here. He sees the Hebe here. There's that ping, of course, knowing he's right there already. And if we look at the differences in farm, we have Tiny with 21,000. The next leading is Lefty with that 16k Elder Titan. And what has he built into? In this little bit of a lull, let's actually check out some items. Has a Reaver now, has a Shivas, as well as the Rod of Atos, going for pure health at the moment. Has quite a bit of armor as well, of course, because of that Shivas. FaZe now has picked up that Ags, who wants to be hookshotting all day long. EMCD has picked up his first big damage item as Weaver, and this is a huge pickup on Weaver. Not to mention with this assault, that is a lot of negative armor coming out from this dire team at the moment, of course. Now, Timbersaw has picked up a Mystic Staff of his own. He is going to be going for that Sheep Stick of his, giving his team just a little bit more CC exactly when they need it. Has a Blade Mail, of course, as well, just in case he gets targeted by Enchantress. And now it looks like there is an Infest up on FaZe, throwing out that hook shot. Not the end of the world. It's only got a 12-second cooldown. Even if he misses it, it's not the end of the world. Hebe, though, running around with the double damage, still doesn't have that much damage. And of course now, with this 5-man fight that they really want to go in, this the Radiant base is getting pushed in. That's not what you want to see happen at all. So the Radiant team has to be, they have to be aware of this. Getting damage on their tier 4s, that's not at all what they want. They have indeed smoked up, being a little bit of a tricky business. It looks like they're gonna sacrifice Hebe, but do they have any detection? Not at the moment, and of course, a battery assault does not hit invisible targets. And now, are they gonna spring the trap? Elder Titan Lefty is here, completely out of position. This is not where you want him to be. Pop the BKB. He does indeed Tapla as well, and those man fighting illusions doing so much damage. Christum can't even compete with the illusions, and now they are just doing so much damage. That AoE, an obscene amount. Splendid Daddy Shakraming, he wants to throw, though Shakram slow everybody down. Final, trying to kill herself for the betterment of her teammates. FaZe has a hook shot available if he can hook into one of his teammates or a neutral camp. He's just barely getting away. Lefty has bought back, thrown out a split earth. It is going to be enough. Splendid Daddy though does get echoed and kills himself on the Blade Mail. Can't quite get away. Tapla is here as well. Do they have the slows available to actually get Lefty? Not sure if they can actually get him. They do have a toss available. Might want to throw him. They do indeed throw Valiant. They need one hit on him to really slow him, but they can't quite get him, and especially with Rod of Atos under his belt, he is going to be fine, just fine to get away. I really wish I had a glass of water with me right at this moment. Excuse me, everybody. Getting into minute 48 now of this game, and of course Tapla just demolishing this is going to get that nice Aegis, and with that, they have to be going for these pushes now. There is still a tier 2 available for the easy killing. That might even be like 2 hits from this Tiny just to kill it. He might as well throw his illusions at it. You can go through backdoor protection and murder that right now. But there is still that tier 2 available, but now, of course, the entirety of the Dire team rotating bot, they're all going here. They really want to get this tower, this lane of racks. It's going to make it so hard for the Radiant team to come back. And before that happens, it's still a fairly even game. Both teams doing very, very well. You don't want to get caught out by this Echo Stomp. Just interrupts your push so much. Of course, sleeps everybody for, what is it, 5 seconds, I believe? Indeed, it is. Now Tapla running in. Oh my, he's essentially 6-shotting this entire tower. Keep going for the tower, pop the illusion. The illusion's doing so much, but he does pop his BKB as well, and now he is just man fighting. Penguin taking 2 hits. Can Lefty actually compete? And there, that BKB saving him so much damage from Impetus. Has to be so scared. Split Earth going down. It's gonna catch 2 of them. It catches Valiant as well as Tapla. Valiant still has his ult available though. Kiwi though now does get out a nice carapace stun on Final. And that is a slow attack animation, and that looks like it's gonna be a Rax. Maybe even a GG, considering that this one tier 4 is down, this second tier 4 is gonna fall pretty quick to these super creeps. And with 2 lanes of Rax down, there is not too much you can really do about it. Tiny has picked up his boots of speed now, which is going to make life so hard for the Radiant team. Even if they can defend this, even if they can fend off these super creeps for that much longer, Tiny is one of those heroes, especially one of these heroes who, when he is this farmed, can pretty much boots of travel into your base, pop those illusions, pop a BKB, and he's guaranteed at least a tower pretty much every time without fail. Now, it looks like they do indeed want this tier 2 tower, just making sure that if they want to backdoor into this, that will be fine, just fine for them to do. These 2 catapults might be able to actually kill this tower in time. Tiny does not have a blink dagger, so he's not going to be porting in, but he is going to farm up this ancient stack. So nice of the Radiant team to stack that for them. And indeed, the tower does get destroyed by the catapults. No deny coming out from the Radiant team, and now it looks like they are against the ropes. No detection going on. FaZe being completely caught out, and that might be the nail in the coffin for this team. Tafla getting another big kill here. And with both of these lanes getting constantly pushed in and the enemy at their door, this Radiant team will need to make some obscenely amazing plays to make this happen. ESP has picked up an Eagle Song as well. No MKB yet on the field, so still a very, very strong pickup from him. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shotting the tower. This Tiny is a one-man wrecking crew who can do whatever he wants. Of course, with the Photic Shield blocking all that damage, he is getting stunned though. Those Impetus is doing so much damage to him, and all it does is pop the Aegis, however. They want to kill Christom though, but that armlet is giving him a little bit of extra oomph. And Tafla, very wisely, waiting to die to use that BKB. If you use it before you die, and then it was almost all for nothing. You come back and you're pretty much guaranteed dead again. But if you wait for that BKB, you just use up all your health on that first Aegis charge, and then you BKB as soon as you're back to health, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a lot of impact, even a little bit later on. 2, 3, 4, 5 shotting each racks. This Tiny can do whatever he wants. There's the GG by Lefty. Too bad that the strongest hero, best player this entire game, couldn't quite carry his team as that Elder Titan. Such a shame, but nonetheless, a very good game. 52 minutes, very long as well. This has been Briefcase bringing you another ESP North American game.